Hello and welcome to UK Versus. Now, today we have more of an uncommon theme among our reveals, and that is because we're looking at the Heroes of Exandria uncommon chaos cards that were sent to us by the lovely UVS Games to go over, generate some hype, and remind people that pre-release signups are open. And if you sign up early, you get rewarded with additional loyalty points to go and spend on amazing rewards such as the Soul Leveling Death Rattle and the Strange New Worlds Star Trek promo, among many others, including Critical Role ones from last year. I am once again, as always, joined by Richard, and we're going to take a look at some uncommon cards.
Yeah, hi everyone. So we've got some more Chaos Uncommons for you. Obviously, the pre-release, I believe, start on the 28th of February and will run through to the 7th of March, which is the official release date of the set. So go sign up with your LGS and check out the new set when it comes out.
Exactly.
Let's get right into it.
If you do take part in the pre-release, do feel free to come back to these videos, reach out to us on Discord and other services such as Twitter and Blue Sky, and let us know what you pulled and how the event went for you, because I'm really interested to see how people are going to find this set when they're actually playing it. But let's crack on with these 5 amazing uncommon cards, starting off with Elemental Orb, a 4 diff, 4 mid for 4 damage, 3 control, 2 mid block spell with Blitz. Choose Acid, Cold, Electricity, or Fire. Depending on which you choose, gives you a different ability. Acid, if this attack deals damage to a character, your rival sacrifices a foundation. Cold, you get to freeze one rival foundation. Electricity, this attack gains stun 1. Or Fire, this attack gains +2 damage. This is a very Swiss army knife kind of attack. And I do like the fact that it's kind of on theme with the chromatic dragons of Exandria.
Yeah, I mean, it almost doesn't matter what the text says and how power level wise this is. This is really cool, right? Just being able to choose thematic, and each of those abilities are fairly thematic in terms of the element involved, and just being able to pick which one. Again, none of them are hugely exciting, but again, it's really cool. The fact that you get to send out the elemental orb of your choice and do the thing, sometimes, a 4 mid 4 stun 1 is not exciting. A 4 mid 4 freeze 1, not exciting. A 4 mid 6, exciting. And, a 4 mid 4, and if it hits them, they sacrifice 1 is maybe the best one. But because, they don't necessarily want to block a 4 mid 4, it's a bit it does me damage. I have to sacrifice 1, so I have to block it. Again, none of the package is, exciting from a power level perspective. Flavor-wise, huge hit. This is really, really cool.
I think the only thing I would have done different, not to take away from Bill and Tim and the team that did the designing, I would have made this a response on play, and I've had, say, Acid be this attack gains Breaker 1.
Yeah, so again, you don't want to over. There's a lot of words on this card as it is, so not to overdo it, but maybe juice it up a little. Maybe make this a rare, and you can spend more momentum to power up the spell so it's multiples. But that's probably a bit anti-flavorful. But flavor-wise, huge hit. This is really cool. Probably really good in sealed as well. But from a constructed perspective, I don't see it. Again, none of the modes are hugely exciting to me from a constructed perspective. Little Taco wants to come and give his thoughts.
They're all solid, especially for an uncommon on a 4 mid 4 for 4.
Yeah.
Starting off with this and getting a stun 1 is fine. It's a nice little card you can pick up with Jester and Caleb just to go, I need this attack to do some damage or to free some stuff out. It's a decent little card.
Yeah, again, more of a flavor win than a power win. But again, going to be playable and limited. I don't think this is going to be a constructed player to me.
And then we move on to a card that people may not really recognize, but we have Grog here. Soothing Grog's Rage, a 2 diff 6 control 2 mid block with enhance flip. Remove 1 counter from a rival non-character card or a rival character card with 4 or more counters on it. Response flip, after you play a block, your next check to play a block gets +1. So this is solid. If the fact that League Interview isn't rotating means that you get to essentially have 2 cards now that can do this.
Yeah, so I So I guess I have two questions about the wording of this card. Like the first one, is it do both cards have to have four characters, like four counters to do it?
I don't
Or is
think
it
so, or else it would just say remove one counter from a rival card with counters on it. Or remove.
yeah, I guess so. It's only the character card that has the four counter
Yeah.
restriction. I don't know why it has the four counter restriction. Like it feels like I don't know from a power. Obviously, that's a power level tuning perspective. They've done that on there. I
It
would
could
just
also
let
be a
them.
Yasha thing because Yasha, I think, needs 3 counters to do something, possibly. Might
Not
be misremembering.
sure, but yeah, I just would have like because flip to remove a counter is such a reasonably minor effect as it is. Like I would just let, especially on a two diff, like I would just say flip nuke counter, fine. But I think with the response, it's not quite the same as league interview, right? Because it's the league interview is when you make the check.
It's
You
your,
flip
it's your
plus one.
same check. This is your next check, yeah.
Yeah, this is on if you block something successfully, your next block gets +1, right? So again, going to be sort of finely limited because you're going to have people playing grog and stuff. So being able to remove counters and just being able to block and stuff. But like that top ability is so narrow in terms of the things it can hit. Obviously, it can remove wall counters, it can remove pony
Mushroom
counters,
counters.
horn counters, it can move horn counters, it can move rage counters, right? But again, they need to have 4. I don't know. It sort of feels a bit in terms of.
It's a shame you can't do your own, so you can like turn off a spreading the word, but
Yes, or a freeze counter, right, or a stun counter.
they're not really counters.
Yeah, I suppose they're not really freeze counters.
Oh, it's a 6 check. It probably sits very nicely into Godzilla because just be able to go, yeah, I'll block, and then my next check gets +1, and I can give it +2 momentum. Do you really want to keep swinging into me?
Yeah, maybe. Again, there's probably better 2/6s you can play, like pass through walls or whatever. So, again, I don't see it finding a home in constructed unless, like, grog's everywhere and we need to do something just to power down the counters. But even then, they have to have 4.
I think
right?
this goes. I'd happily put this in my sideboard for stringers, or if we get a very stun heavy meta where I can just go cool block flip. If you stun this down, it's fine because I've got +1 to my next check anyway.
Yeah. Again, I think probably just there's better speed hate. Like really, like the majority of the card is that bottom response and flip for +1 like effective. Flip for effectively -1 speed on your opponent's next attack is not a good rate, and you have to successfully block to do that. And having the ability to remove a counter would have been okay if there wasn't that restriction. Like there isn't enough cards that have counters to really warrant it. And there are characters that do that, and there's enough of them about that it might have been maybe a useful effect to sort of have that split flexible card. But I think it's that restriction of 4 that kills it. Like just being able to nuke one from Pony and take her off her cadence of counters, I think can be really nice, but she rarely gets to that high. Like she's usually dancing around between 1 and 3. Again, I think if Grog gets low, just being able to remove his last rage counter and stop him drawing, I think would have been a useful effect on there. So to me, it's just like doesn't quite hit the mark in terms of power level.
Well, let's move on to a card I think might find some competitive play, especially with how action-heavy Chaos characters are going to be with this set. Magic Trap, a 2 diff, 5 control, 2 high block spell with response once per turn. After you play an action card, your rival's next check to play a card gets -1. No remove, no flip, no commit, no cost. Just once per turn. After you play an action, your opponent's next check goes -1.
Yeah. I mean, really nice. Again, obviously, you need to plan a character or a deck that has a critical mass of actions to really trigger this. But it is a powerful effect, especially if you put it in conjunction with things like the foundation we saw in the previous video with the flip from -1 to the next check. So if you can stack those up, again, it doesn't have that kind of get out of jail free text of failing the check doesn't end the combat phase. It's literally a breaker 1 to your next thing. So
the one thing I would say that you
this enough times, it's good.
One thing that you are overlooking is it doesn't say play an action; it says play an action card. So if you block with an action, it just gives any action breaker 1.
Yes,
which is really cool.
Yeah, Yeah, again, as long as you're playing a critical massive action, this card is going to be really solid.
Well, with Jester 1 and Caleb 1, just be able to pick up any spell.
Yeah.
Just be able to go, cool, I'll pick up my magic boost, I'll pick up my wound restore, I'll pick up any of these actions that I can now get, such Dark Tournament Looms or Teamwork or any of these. Well, no, I guess you can't pick those because of the spells, but yes, if we get more spells that are actions,
yeah,
just be able to go, boom, here's an action, Breaker 1 with no cost.
Yeah, Mark Your Prey from Vex doesn't have Chaos, no. Shame.
But if you can find, and say, like an Earth or Life character that also has Chaos thanks to attunement, you can.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of the old...
Vex playing it, and then,
I'm just triggering it, but it doesn't quite work, unfortunately.
If I wanted to play a cheeky little evil dabby free, I could go... on my block, go Barrier Shield, give my next card Breaker 2. Oh, and also I'm going to give you -1 to your next check. So here's Breaker 3 for my Barrier Shield.
Yeah. There's cool moves you can do this. Again, as long as you're playing enough actions that you're regularly being able to trigger this, it's a powerful trigger, right?
Yeah, with Caleb and Jester, I think this goes in. It's very powerful, very cool, and the kind of repeatable stuff you want for a 2 diff, just to go, play action, Breaker. Yeah. Then we have Break the Spell, a Scanlan card with Grog kind of trapped in this ethereal bubble. 2 diff, 5 control, 3 high block, unique spell. Enhance, spend momentum, unseal 1 card in your stage. Response, once per turn, Tenacious, after a card is committed due to a rival effect, ready it.
Yeah, solid. Again, very much dependent on the amount of seal that's going around, right? As long as there's enough people stealing your stuff, then this warrants a slot in your deck just as a way of undoing that. And I think, obviously, this set has brought some amount of sealing back in.
It's a big thing for pack bounce or death is sealing and control and basically denial of resources. The big thing for me is there's a video we have going up next week, I believe, about Caleb Widogast. And I said in the wording of his card, the fact that he says, if this is the 3rd or greater time you've used this ability, seal this character, to me said there was going to be an unseal card coming. Because if you can play 3 actions, seal Caleb, unseal Caleb, you get to do it a 4th time. If you can play 4 actions, you can burn your opponent for 4.
Yeah, because you can. It says a card, so you can unseal your character, right?
You can unseal your character. So if you get Heroes Upbringing...
Yeah, I was literally thinking Heroes Upbringing seals your character, so you can use that to unseal yourself. So yeah, I mean, again, it's going to be like, I don't know whether it's going to be a sideboard card or just one of those ones you just fling in a one-off just as a thing because it's obviously unique. It's it's probably not a bad little one-off to have in your deck. Like it's a little bit of stun hate, a little bit of seal hate on a 2/5 with an off-zone block. So again, probably one of those things you just chuck in as a cheeky one-off in a deck.
What I like about this one for the stun hate over things like Eri Smiles and other stun hate is you don't have to ready. Oh, you do have to ready this. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, it's literally Eri Smiles. But with
which is still a decent stun hate. Chaos is needing more stun hate after losing requesting assistance.
Yeah, so again, pretty solid. I think could quite easily find room as a one-off in a lot of decks on.
But it is unique. You don't want to be running too many of them.
Yeah, so I think you just almost play it as a one-off that you don't necessarily need to see it, but sometimes it's going to be really nice to have in your deck as an option.
Now let's move on to the Cleric of the Traveller, looking absolutely amazing in this outfit. I don't think I've gotten to this bit yet. It looks like it's kind of more for a meeting of the Traveller's followers, but Jester looking absolutely amazing here. Very powerful, very cool. We have Warding Sigil, 5 diff, 3 control, 4 mid for 6, 2 low block, EX3 spell, Blitz, if you have more ready foundations than your rival, they spend 1 momentum. The more momentum hate, which is something that's always great.
Yeah.
And why do Godzilla needs more 4 highs for 9? Because,
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a little modest in terms of what it's doing, but it's a low block, it's an off-zone attack. it's a momentum out with that EX3 to push through. It's like that high, reasonably high damage at 6. And quite often you're going to be able to snipe it, especially leading off on this, you're going to be able to snipe a momentum. So, yeah, again, a solid piece. How much seed play it sees, I don't know. But again, it's going to be a really nice one for sealed in terms of having that momentum out, it being a decent block and damage, and a way of obviously stopping their momentum. So, again, probably more one for sealed than constructed, but especially if you've got like a deck that can maybe tutor spells and discard piles, that sort of thing, just having this as a one-off as I'm going to tutor this up to get rid of their momentum, or I need a big EX to push through damage. Could see some play in that sort of light.
Yeah, and I think this could find home in cards like Not the Brave One, where you were looking at that mill ability to give stun, so you can play this as your second or third attack when your opponent's gone through resources and go, cool, let's get rid of that momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these are very solid uncommons, very cool picks. Magic Trap, I'm a big Caleb stan. I think Caleb's going to be absolutely nuts. The fact that you can kill in your rival's turn is something I absolutely love. I'll be able to utilize that kind of action-based turn where it's kind of like a more mimic-esque, backup-esque kind of play where you want to have a critical mass of actions because you're able to give the breakers and burn. I think Magic Trap, for me, out of these 5, stands out the most.
Yeah, it's got the highest ceiling, I think, in terms of the effect it can have on the game, as long as you can make a deck that can run enough actions to make it work. Because obviously, there's a cost and a risk to running too many actions in your deck, in that, your open hand is just like all blue, and you're like, well, but
yeah.
So...
Yeah, I like that. I like the art here as well. Is from the Origins comics, and I know it's from the Origins comics because I was second guessing myself with Soothing Grog's Rage, but the Soothing Grog's Rage character and the character that's in the bottom right hand side of Magic Trap, that's Pike Trickfoot before they got their hair color changed through a fight.
Okay.
Their original hair color was black. And it was confusing. I was like, is it them? But the art style here is different than what we see on like the cards and what we see on the Prime show. But that is Pike Trickfoot, and that is just...
Well, yeah, that's one thing they've done. Obviously, they've taken the art from a lot of different sources. So whether that's sort of official art, or the comic books, or the shows, or... Obviously, I know they when we had Hitch on, he talked about how he reached out to a lot of the people who did fan art and sent into the show and got them to do official arts for this. So, there's lots of different sources that make up the sort of tapestry of this set in terms of the art. So, there's that sort of variety there. I mean, my favourite is probably just Elemental Orb, just from a flavour perspective. I think it's a home run from that side of it.
That makes a lot of sense. But if you are looking for the timeline as to where cards are from, the best thing I would say to do is look for art with Grog. Because if Grog has a beard, it's after this point, and if Grog doesn't have a beard, it's before a certain point. But Richard started listening to the podcast, so I'm not gonna break up as to what goes on there. But Grog does end up getting a beard, which is very, very cool, but also very funny for other things. But let us know in the comments below, which is your favourite uncommon here, or do you have a favourite uncommon from one of the other content creators? Because don't forget, there are 8 other content creators that have got amazing content, among many other content creators, I imagine, who've got their opinions on uncommons. And let us know in the comments below, what are you most excited to get your hands on and play? And don't forget to go check out everyone else's videos. And, of course, subscribe and hit the notification bell to be kept up to date with our latest videos.
Yeah, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. And remember to ask yourself, is it game night yet? Bye.